I showed up to my daughter's house on Thanksgiving with a bottle of wine in one hand and a heart full of hope. I hadn't seen her in months, but I told myself it was just life getting in the way. Work, kids, schedules. I told myself she'd smile when she saw me. I told myself I still mattered. But when her husband opened the door, he didn't smile. He didn't even let me in. He pointed to a paper plate on the floor, scraps of food piled like leftovers for a stray dog, and said, "That's yours. It's where you belong." I said nothing. I turned around and walked away. The next morning, I woke up to 22 missed calls. And that's when everything unraveled. What happened next was rather unexpected. I will tell you everything. First, let me thank you for your continuous support. If you love stories like this one, support us by subscribing to this channel and comment where you are watching us from. It will be great to hear from you. Now let's jump into the details of what happened. They say Thanksgiving is about gratitude, about family, about carving out time to remind each other that love matters more than pride. But whoever said that never showed up to their daughter's house with a bottle of wine and a hopeful heart, only to be told they weren't welcome. I hadn't seen Emily in almost 6 months. She'd been busy, she said. The kids had soccer games. Tyler had started a new job. Life, in all its chaotic rhythms, had apparently swept her so far away that I was now a guest instead of family. Still, I didn't let that stop me. I got up early that morning, ironed the only decent shirt I had left, dark blue, the one that didn't cling too tight around my belly, and picked out a wine I knew Tyler liked, even though I never cared for the man much. I put a little bag of gifts in the passenger seat, nothing big, just some books and puzzles for the grandkids, a bracelet I found at a flea market for Emily. Something about it reminded me of her when she was a little girl. The drive over was quiet, too quiet. Roads empty, trees barer than usual, the sky heavy with the kind of gray that makes you question if the sun will ever come back. Still, I pressed on, thinking maybe today would be different. Maybe Emily would pull me aside and say she missed me. Maybe the kids would run to me like they used to. I was full of maybes and hope, and that's always a dangerous cocktail for a man who's been disappointed before. When I pulled into their driveway, I noticed there weren't many cars. Just Tyler's big black truck and a small sedan I didn't recognize. Maybe they were keeping it small this year. I adjusted my collar, grabbed the wine and gifts, and took a deep breath before ringing the bell. It was Tyler who opened the door, not Emily. That should have been my first clue. He didn't smile, didn't say hello. He just stood there, blocking the entrance like a bouncer outside a bar I didn't belong in. "Raymond," he said flatly, eyes scanning me like I was the surprise he didn't want. "Happy Thanksgiving," I said, holding out the wine. "I thought I'd." "You weren't invited," he cut in. Just like that. No buffer, no courtesy. Just the cold fact laid bare. "Emily said we were keeping it tight this year. There's not enough room." I blinked. "I'm her father." He looked over his shoulder, as if to make sure no one was watching. "Yeah, well, that doesn't entitle you to show up unannounced. We've got other people here." Family. I was family. I was her family. Before I could respond, he stepped aside, not to let me in, but to reveal what he had set just inside the doorway. A paper plate, already filled with what looked like cold green beans, turkey scraps, and a half-eaten roll. It sat directly on the hardwood floor, like I was some dog begging at the back door. "There," he said. "That's yours. Figured I'd save you the trouble of asking." For a second, I couldn't move. My hands trembled slightly, and I had to grip the neck of the wine bottle just to keep steady. My pride, my dignity, they all screamed at me to say something, to throw the bottle at his feet or demand he get Emily. But I didn't. I looked at the plate. I looked at him, and I turned around. I didn't say a word. Didn't give him the satisfaction of seeing me break. I walked down the steps, gifts still in hand, and got back into my car. My throat burned with unshed words, and my chest tightened in a way that had nothing to do with age. I sat there for a long minute, staring at the house. No one came out. No curtain twitched. No child ran down the walkway. I started the engine and drove. The parking lot outside that old 24-hour diner near the freeway was half empty. I sat in the corner booth by the window, watching couples come and go, some smiling, some bickering, all of them with somewhere to belong. I ordered a slice of pumpkin pie and a cup of black coffee. When the waitress asked if I wanted anything else, I shook my head. "No, ma'am," I said. This'll do. She didn't ask questions. She could probably see it on my face. Something had gone wrong. You don't end up eating alone in a diner on Thanksgiving night unless life's taken a wrong turn somewhere. I thought about Emily, about her 5th birthday, when she insisted I let her put the candles on the cake herself. She dropped one, burned her finger, cried for 20 minutes, and still said it was the best birthday ever. I thought about the Christmas we couldn't afford gifts, so I made her a doll out of old shirts and buttons. She named it Rosie and carried it everywhere for 2 years. I gave her everything. Every extra shift, every dollar saved, every warm meal I went without so she wouldn't have to. And somewhere along the way, that little girl with the scraped knees and big brown eyes grew into a woman I didn't recognize. One who let a man like Tyler stand between us. I didn't cry. I just chewed slowly, the crust of the pie too hard, the filling too sweet. But it was better than swallowing my pride. I went home that night and put the gifts in the back of the closet. I left the wine on the counter. Let Tyler drink it if he wanted. Let him taste the bitterness I felt. I went to bed early, not because I was tired, but because I couldn't stand to be awake. Not after that. And when I woke up the next morning, my phone was lit up like a firework. 22 missed calls. Most were from Emily. A few were from a number I didn't recognize, probably her friend or someone trying to smooth it over. I didn't listen to the voicemails right away. I just stared at the phone in my hand, the screen glowing with all the apologies that were probably too little, too late. That's when the first voicemail autoplayed. Dad? Dad? Oh my God. Why didn't you come in? Tyler said you just left, but I had no idea you even showed up. The plate. What the hell was he thinking? Please, call me. Please. I set the phone down and walked to the sink. I turned on the water and let it run. Not because I needed it, but because the sound helped drown out the ache in my chest. There it was, the fallout. And I wasn't sure if I was ready to pick up the pieces. The house was still dark when I woke, the kind of heavy stillness that feels thicker than silence. My phone, sitting face up on the nightstand, glowed like a wound. 22 missed calls. 10 voicemails. A few text messages stacked on top like aftershocks from the main blow. I didn't touch it right away. Instead, I just stared at it, half hoping it would light up again so I could watch her name appear. Emily, like it used to, with warmth and anticipation. But now it felt like a name I didn't know how to carry anymore. I sat up slowly, my bones stiff and my chest hollow in that particular way grief tends to settle. Not the grief of death. No, this was the slower kind. The kind that builds over time, unnoticed until one day you realize something you once held sacred has quietly bled out while your back was turned. Eventually, I listened. Not all at once. I couldn't have stomached it, but piece by piece, as if pacing myself might soften the pain. The first voicemail was panicked. Dad, I just found out what Tyler did. Oh my God, why didn't you knock again? Why didn't you call me? He said you just left, and I thought, Jesus, I thought you weren't coming. Please, please call me back. I didn't know. Then came another, angrier. Are you really not going to answer me? After everything? You just walked away? I mean, yes, what he did was. I'm not defending it, but couldn't you have said something? I had no idea you were even outside. Then the tears. Dad, I'm so sorry. I swear to you, if I had known, I would have never let that happen. Please, please talk to me. Each one chipped at me. I paced the living room, arms crossed tight over my chest, as if that could somehow hold me together. The same room where Emily used to fall asleep on my chest watching cartoons, where she learned to dance barefoot on the hardwood while I clapped along out of rhythm just to make her laugh. Now, her voice came through the speaker like a stranger desperate to reach me across a canyon she helped dig. But she wasn't the only one who called. One of the numbers I didn't recognize left a voicemail too. Hi, Mr. Carter. This is Julia, Emily's friend. I was at the dinner yesterday. I just wanted to say I saw what happened. I didn't realize who you were at first. I'm so sorry. If I had known, well, it wasn't right. I hope you're okay. That one hit differently. It meant someone saw. That I wasn't just imagining it. That it wasn't some dramatized version of events twisted by my pride. No, Tyler really did set a plate on the floor and speak to me like I was nothing. And someone else bore witness. By mid-morning, the texts started coming. Emily, please call me. I'm begging you. Emily, the kids asked where you were. I told them you weren't feeling well. I didn't know what else to say. Emily, Lila drew you a picture. She cried when I told her you weren't coming. The kids. God, that part gutted me. I hadn't even thought about them in the moment. I was so wrapped up in my humiliation and Tyler's cruelty that I forgot my grandkids were inside that house, probably wondering where their grandpa was. That's what made it hurt worse. Not the insult, but the idea that I let Tyler's words keep me from the people who would have welcomed me with open arms if they had known I was there. I pulled the drawing from the gift bag I never gave them. A picture book and a puzzle for Lila. A toy truck and a model airplane kit for Lucas. I bought them with care, picking things that reminded me of their personalities. That bag still sat in the back of my closet, like a time capsule for a memory that never happened. I sat down at the kitchen table, placed the phone in front of me, and stared at it again. I wanted to call her back. I really did. But part of me hesitated, not out of spite, but out of self-preservation. What would I say? That I understood? That it was okay? It wasn't okay. She let him do that. Maybe not knowingly, maybe not with intent, but she built a life with a man who could treat her father like a stray, and that meant something. That meant everything. Around noon, there was a knock at my door. I didn't answer right away. I stood to the side and peeked through the curtain. Emily's car. I considered pretending I wasn't home, just letting her stew in whatever emotion brought her here. But something in me, maybe the tired old father who still wanted to believe in second chances, moved my hand to the knob. I opened the door. She looked wrecked, eyes red, hair pulled back hastily. No makeup. She was holding a crumpled napkin in one hand and what looked like one of the kids' drawings in the other. "Can I come in?" she asked, her voice small. I stepped aside. She walked into the living room like it was a stranger's home, pausing awkwardly near the couch before finally sitting down. I stayed standing. I needed the distance. "Dad," she started. "I swear to you, I had no idea Tyler was going to do that." I nodded, but said nothing. I didn't even know you came by until I saw the plate on the floor and asked him what it was. He told me you showed up uninvited, that you left before he could even talk to you." "He talked," I said quietly, loud and clear. Emily winced. He thought you were trying to make a scene by showing up with gifts for your kids and a bottle of wine." She looked down at the napkin. "I'm not defending him. What he did was wrong. I told him that. We argued. I yelled. I told him he needed to apologize." "Did he?" She hesitated. "No." There it was. The truth. The line. "So what now?" I asked, folding my arms. She looked up at me, eyes glossy. "I don't know. I just know I miss you. And the kids miss you." Lila cried herself to sleep last night. I felt that crack again, deep in my ribs. But I held it together. I didn't raise you to think it's okay to humiliate people and expect them to smile through it. "I know," she whispered. "I'm so sorry, Dad. I'm not the one who needs to say sorry." We sat in silence for a long while. Eventually, she handed me the drawing. A crooked heart, my name written across the top, and stick figures holding hands beneath a wonky sun. She made that this morning. Said she wanted Grandpa to have a happy Thanksgiving, even if it's a little late. I took it, held it, and for the first time since walking away from that plate on the floor, I let myself cry. The first thing I noticed when Emily left was the weight, the emotional kind, like I'd been carrying a soaked blanket on my back all day. After she handed me Lila's drawing and closed the door behind her, I stood in the hallway with it still in my hands, unsure whether I felt better or worse. The picture was sweet, innocent, and pure in a way only a child's creation can be, but it also made the absence that much sharper. That drawing shouldn't have come with an apology. It should have come with mashed potatoes, giggles, and gravy-stained paper napkins, handed to me by a smiling granddaughter in a house that still remembered what family looked like. Instead, I got cardboard kindness in a quiet house and a man-shaped wound in my chest named Tyler. The next few days passed in slow motion. Emily didn't call again. I think she sensed I needed space. Or maybe she was trying to keep things calm at home. Either way, the silence between us was thicker now, dense with things unsaid. I didn't reach out either. I wasn't ready to reassemble the pieces. Not when Tyler was still walking around like nothing happened, like he'd done the family a favor by taking out the trash. But that illusion shattered soon enough. It was Thursday, exactly 1 week after Thanksgiving, when the confrontation came, and not the quiet kind, either. Marcus, my son, had driven in from out of town. He hadn't been at Thanksgiving. He usually spent it with his in-laws. But when he heard what happened, apparently from the family group chat, which had turned into a war zone overnight, he called me immediately. "What the hell is going on?" he asked the second I answered. "I just saw a screenshot of Tyler posting some stupid meme about uninvited guests who get fed like the dogs they are. Tell me that's not what I think it is." My stomach sank. That's exactly what it is. Jesus, Dad. You didn't tell me. I didn't want to drag you into it. You're my father, he snapped. You're not dragging me anywhere. I live here. He showed up that afternoon with a six-pack and a fire under his skin. He looked like a man who'd rehearsed 1,000 versions of what he wanted to say, and none of them were quiet. "You need to let me handle this," Marcus said, sitting at the table with the kind of posture that meant he was ready to swing. "Handle it how?" "Face to face." I sighed. "Don't go looking for a fight." "I'm not looking," he said. "It already found us." That's when my phone buzzed again. This time, Emily. "Can we talk? I want to explain. Tyler will be home, but I promise it won't be like last time." I didn't answer right away, but Marcus read it over my shoulder and snatched the phone from my hand. "We're going," he said. "This ends today." When we pulled into Emily's driveway, my hands were sweating. Not from fear, but from the familiar tension that settles in your bones when you know your dignity is about to be tested again. Marcus stormed ahead of me, knocking on the door like a cop with a warrant. Emily opened it, pale and tight-lipped. "Hey," she said quietly. "Thanks for coming." Marcus didn't respond. He walked right past her. I followed, slower, each step reminding me how long it had been since I felt truly welcome in this house. Tyler was in the kitchen, leaning against the counter with a smug look that turned my stomach. He was sipping something out of a whiskey glass like this was a casual Thursday night and not a full-blown reckoning. "Look who finally decided to show up," he muttered. Marcus didn't waste a second. "You think this is funny?" he barked. "You think treating my father like a damn animal is something to post about?" Tyler's smile dropped. "Whoa, back up. I didn't mean." "No," I interrupted. "Let him speak." Emily stepped between them. "Everyone, please. Just sit down. I didn't bring you here to fight." But Marcus wasn't sitting. "You disrespected our father. You embarrassed him. You humiliated the man who raised your wife when her mother died and still showed up here with gifts for your kids. And for what? Your pride." Tyler scoffed. "He wasn't invited. He just showed up like he owns the place." "I'm her father," I said, finally raising my voice. "I don't need an invitation to see my own daughter, especially on Thanksgiving." "You need to respect boundaries," Tyler fired back. That word, boundaries, hit me sideways, as if the line between love and control had been flipped in his mind. "I wiped her nose," I said slowly. "I stayed up when she had fevers. I packed lunches I couldn't afford, worked shifts I barely survived. And you," I pointed at him, my voice shaking now, "you stood there and told me I didn't belong. You put a plate on the floor like I was a stray you felt obligated to feed. You think that's boundaries?" He didn't answer. Emily stood still, caught between us like a child in a custody battle. "I asked you to apologize," she said softly to him. "I begged you to make this right." Tyler shrugged. "I don't see what the big deal is. He's making it into something it's not." Marcus slammed his hand on the table, hard enough to rattle the glassware. "You're damn right it's a big deal. You think it's okay to degrade our father and then act like we're the problem? No, man. This is the problem." Emily finally turned to me, tears brimming. "Dad, I'm sorry. I should have protected you better. I didn't know he was capable of this." That was the part that broke me. "You did," I said. "You knew what kind of man he was. Maybe not to this extent, but you saw pieces of it. You chose to look away." She opened her mouth, then closed it again. "I'm not asking you to pick sides," I said, "but I won't step foot in a home where I'm treated like garbage. I love you. I'll always love you. But my pride isn't something I can keep handing over." I looked down at the drawing from Lila I'd brought with me, now folded neatly in my coat pocket. "You tell my grandkids I love them. I'll see them if and when it's safe. But I'm done letting a man like that define my worth." And with that, I walked out. This time, not in silence, but in power. By the time we pulled out of Emily's driveway, the tension in the car was thick enough to slice through. Marcus was gripping the steering wheel like it had personally offended him, jaw clenched, knuckles pale. I didn't say much. Neither did he. Not for a while, anyway. It wasn't until we got back to my place, sat down with 2 mugs of coffee and the old space heater humming in the corner, that he finally spoke. "I wanted to punch that bastard," he muttered. I didn't respond right away. I was still reliving every moment of that confrontation in my head, every jab, every excuse, every tear in Emily's eyes. I wasn't sure what hurt more, Tyler's arrogance or Emily's silence. She apologized, sure. But apologies only go so far when the damage runs deep. "You did good," I finally said. "But this doesn't end there." Marcus raised an eyebrow. "What do you mean?" "I mean, he's not done. He's the kind of man who always needs to be the victim in his own story. If he thinks we embarrassed him tonight, he'll try to control the narrative." And I was right. I didn't even make it to bed that night before the fireworks started. It began in the family group chat, the big one, the one with cousins, aunts, uncles, in-laws, and people who only show up to weddings and funerals. That chat had been mostly quiet since Thanksgiving, just the usual sharing of old photos and heart emojis on baby updates. But now it was on fire. "Tyler, just a heads up to the fam. Raymond and Marcus came by the house tonight and tried to start a fight. Not sure what their deal is lately, but I'm not engaging with negativity." The nerve of that man. Marcus saw it first and let out a dry laugh. "Oh, here we go." Then came the replies. "Aunt Carol. Wait, what? Cousin Jen, start a fight? Are you okay?" "Tyler. Yeah, I'm fine. Just disappointed. I try to create a peaceful home, and some people can't respect boundaries." I felt my blood rise. He was twisting it. Gaslighting not just Emily, not just me, but the whole damn family. That's when Marcus stepped in. "Marcus, let's not rewrite history, Tyler. You humiliated our father on Thanksgiving by putting a plate of food on the floor and telling him that's where he belonged. What we did tonight was confront you with words. Nobody laid a hand on you, though God knows I should have." "Tyler, wow. Really mature, Marcus. So now it's open season on me for enforcing basic respect in my own home? Emily, finally, can we not do this here?" I stared at that message for a while. "Can we not do this here?" That was her response. Not "Tyler is lying," not "my father deserves respect." Just a plea to keep the mess behind closed doors. To protect her husband's image instead of confronting what he did. Marcus looked at me, then typed again. "Marcus, you're right, Em. We shouldn't do this here. We should have done it years ago when you started letting that man dictate who was allowed to matter in your life." That one hit the group hard. You could feel it through the silence. Then came a trickle of private messages. "Cousin Aaron, to me unbelievable. I'm so sorry, Uncle Ray. I had no idea. Niece Sarah, to Marcus, good for you. That guy gives off major red flag vibes." But there were others, too. "Aunt Liz, in the group, maybe there's more to the story. We weren't there. We shouldn't jump to conclusions." That stung. It always does when people would rather stay neutral than name abuse for what it is. And then, as expected, Tyler posted again, not in the chat, but on Facebook. A vague status that read, "Funny how the people who do the least for you feel the most entitled to your space." It was public, and people were commenting. Preach. Protect your peace. Family doesn't mean putting up with toxicity. The irony made me sick. I watched as sympathy poured in from his friends, people who only knew his version of the story. Meanwhile, I sat in my living room, a retired widower who'd poured his whole life into his children, now being painted as a parasite for wanting a seat at the table. I didn't respond. Not online, anyway. But that night, I sat down with a pen and a piece of paper. Not a text, not a group post. Just a real, old-fashioned letter addressed to Emily. "Dear Emily, I'm not going to fight Tyler online. I'm not going to post cryptic messages or turn this into a family circus. That's not who I am. But I do need you to understand something. What he did to me wasn't a misunderstanding. It wasn't a difference of opinion. It was deliberate cruelty. And your silence that night, intentional or not, told me exactly where I stand. I don't need an apology from Tyler. Frankly, I don't expect one. But I needed you to defend me. I needed you to remember who raised you, who held your hand through every nightmare, every heartbreak, every scraped knee and broken dream. I needed you to look at that plate on the floor and feel rage, not shame, not avoidance. Rage. I love you. I love your children more than words can express. But I won't walk into a home where I'm treated like a stray. I deserve better. And if you ever want to rebuild something real between us, it has to start with truth, not silence. Dad. I mailed it the next morning. I didn't wait for a reply. I wasn't sure I'd get one. But I knew, in my bones, that for the first time in a long while, I had spoken clearly, with dignity, with truth. And that had to be enough, for now. It came in a yellow envelope, hand-addressed in purple marker with crooked letters that barely fit across the front, to Grandpa Ray. There was no return address, just my name, my street, and a smiley face drawn next to the stamp. I recognized the handwriting before I even opened it. Lila's. She was only 8, but she wrote like she was trying to pour her whole heart onto the page, and somehow, she always did. The moment I held the envelope, my chest tightened. I hadn't seen her in 2 weeks. Not since that Thanksgiving humiliation, not since I walked out of her house and drew a line in the sand between dignity and dysfunction. And now here was this little letter, arriving like a whisper in a storm. I stood in the hallway for a full minute, just staring at it. Finally, I opened it with careful fingers. Inside was a folded piece of white paper, decorated with pink stars and little stickers of puppies and rainbows. At the top, in big block letters, she'd written, "Dear Grandpa, I miss you." I sat down at the kitchen table, the same one where I used to feed Emily cereal in the mornings before school, and read, "Hi, Grandpa. Mommy said you were busy on Thanksgiving, but I know you wanted to come. I saved you a roll and some stuffing, but Mommy said we had to eat it. Sorry. I drew you a picture instead. I made it with all the stuff I love about you. Like when you let me ride the cart at the grocery store, and when you made silly pancakes that looked like cats, kind of. Mommy is sad." I heard her crying. I hugged her. She said she messed up, but we're going to fix it. "Can we have Thanksgiving next week? Just you and me and Lucas and Mommy? You don't have to bring wine. Just bring you. Love, Lila." Taped to the letter was a crayon drawing. Me and Lila holding hands in a big green field. A table with food. A pie that had eyes and legs for some reason. Lucas holding a football. Emily standing nearby with a sign that said sorry over her head. It should have made me laugh. And it did at first. Then it broke me. Because this was what Tyler's pride had stolen from me. What Emily's silence had risked. Not just a dinner, but a relationship. A legacy. These children didn't care about the ego wars or the boundaries or the family drama. They just wanted their grandpa back. I wiped my eyes and laid the letter down beside my coffee cup. That's when the doorbell rang. I wasn't expecting anyone. I opened the door slowly, half hoping it was just a delivery or a neighbor needing help with something. It was Marcus. He held up a brown paper bag. "Brought lunch." "Let me guess," I said, stepping aside. "Pulled pork and guilt." He grinned. "Close. Chicken salad and unsolicited advice." We sat in the living room, the letter between us on the table. I watched as Marcus read it slowly, his usual fire dimmed. "God," he said. "That kid's got more empathy than half the adults in this family." "She always did," I said. He glanced at me. "So, what are you going to do?" I didn't answer right away. I looked out the window. The sky was clearer than it had been in days. One of those cold but sunny afternoons where the light feels sharp and honest. I rubbed my thumb along the edge of the envelope. "I'm going to write her back," I said. "But I'm not going over there." "You sure?" "I'm sure. Even if Emily apologizes again." I turned to him. "An apology without change is just damage control. I'm not interested in a performance. I want respect. Real respect. Tyler doesn't have to like me. He doesn't have to toast my name at family dinners. But he will not degrade me. And Emily needs to understand that protecting me isn't optional. It's the price of rebuilding." Marcus nodded. "You're doing the right thing." "I'm doing the hard thing," I said. "Sometimes they're the same." That night, I wrote Lila back. No computer, no phone, just pen and paper, the way she'd done. "Dear Lila, I got your letter today, and I've read it about 10 times already. It's sitting next to my coffee as I write this. Your drawing made me smile so big, I think the neighbors could see it. You are a smart, kind, and special girl. I miss you too, more than I can say. And I'm so proud of you for writing to me and making your mommy smile when she was sad. That's what love looks like. I want you to know something. Sometimes grown-ups get things wrong. We say the wrong things or forget what matters. But we're always learning, even when we're old like me. I can't come over just yet. There are things I need to work out with your mommy and with Tyler. But that doesn't mean I don't love you. I love you and Lucas more than all the pancakes and pie in the world. Tell Lucas to keep throwing that football. And tell your mommy I got her message loud and clear. I'll see you soon. And next time, we'll make cat pancakes together. Love, Grandpa. I sealed it up, added a sticker of a dog from my junk drawer. Don't ask me why I had stickers, and dropped it in the mailbox the next morning. It wasn't a resolution, but it was a bridge. And maybe that's all love really is, just building bridges when people try to burn them. It was a Sunday when Emily finally reached out again, not with a call, not through Marcus, not even with another wave of apologies. She sent a simple message that said, "The kids miss you. I miss you too. No Tyler. Just dinner. One night. Please." I stared at it for longer than I care to admit. Part of me wanted to ignore it, to keep the line drawn, the boundary clear and unshaken. But another part, the one that still remembered how she used to grab my pinky finger when she was small and say, "Never leave, Daddy." That part softened. Just a little. I didn't answer right away. Instead, I sat at the table with her letter from Lila, unfolded it again, and reread the words like they were scripture. Not because they had power over me, but because they reminded me of the kind of legacy I was trying to preserve. I wasn't just a father. I was a grandfather, a link in the chain. And how I handled this would set the tone for what they remembered about love, pain, and dignity. So I replied, "Dinner. Just us. Nothing more. I'll come. But only once. No back and forth. No negotiating." And to her credit, Emily didn't try to. I showed up that Friday with nothing in my hands. No bottle of wine. No bag of gifts. No offering to prove my worth. I'd already given enough of myself. This wasn't a return, it was a visit. There's a difference. Emily opened the door with tired eyes and a nervous smile. The kids were already bouncing behind her, shouting "Grandpa, Grandpa," like the last 2 weeks had never happened. I smiled, because they deserved that much. They deserved more than this mess. Emily kept her word. No Tyler. Just her, the kids, and a quiet table set with mismatched plates and too many forks. The food was simple: roast chicken, mashed potatoes, rolls out of a tube, but it smelled good, and it smelled like her. Like the girl who used to sit on the counter watching me stir spaghetti sauce while she told me about school. We made small talk through dinner. Lila showed me her glitter nail polish. Lucas tried to convince me to join his flag football team. Emily kept glancing at me, like she was waiting for a crack in the ice, some signal that I was thawing. I didn't give her one. Not yet. After dessert, which was store-bought pie I pretended to love for Lila's sake, the kids ran off to watch a movie, and it was just us. The silence stretched long enough to get uncomfortable. Then she finally said it. "I know sorry doesn't fix it." I looked at her. "No, it doesn't." She nodded, swallowing hard. "I let him change me," she admitted. I didn't even notice how much. I was so focused on keeping peace in the house that I forgot the difference between peace and silence. Between keeping things calm and keeping things right. That, I respected. Not the apology. The accountability. "I missed you," she said. "I miss who we were before." I leaned back, folded my arms. "Then why did you let him treat me like I didn't matter?" Tears welled up in her eyes. "Because I thought if I defended you, he'd feel like I was choosing sides. And I was tired. Tired of the arguments. Tired of the tension. So I stayed quiet, and I watched it happen, and I hated myself for it." I let her sit in that truth. Not because I wanted to hurt her, but because I needed her to know what it cost. Silence, when paired with betrayal, becomes complicity. And I'd spent enough of my life accepting less than I deserved from people I loved. She looked down. "I don't know if you'll ever forgive me." I stayed quiet for a moment. Then I said, "This isn't about forgiveness. It's about what comes next." She looked up, eyes hopeful but cautious. "I love you, Emily. I'll always love you. But I won't let love become a leash," I said. "I'll come to see the kids. I'll spend time with them. But I won't walk into this house again unless I know it's safe. For my heart, for my dignity. If Tyler can't give me basic respect, then I'm not going to pretend we're one big happy family." "I understand," she whispered. "I'm not asking you to leave him," I added. "I'm asking you to protect your children from thinking his behavior is normal, and to protect yourself from believing you deserve it." Her hands trembled slightly as she reached across the table and squeezed mine. "I'll do better," she said. "I hope so," I replied. But I'm not waiting for proof anymore. I've got a life to live, and I'll be damned if I spend it begging for a seat at a table I helped build. I left not long after that, hugged the kids, thanked Emily for dinner, and as I stepped back into the cool autumn air, I felt something shift inside me. Not peace, exactly, but clarity, strength, a bone-deep understanding of what it meant to love with boundaries. That night, I sat by the window with a cup of tea and watched the wind move through the trees. And I realized something. Family isn't about blood. It's about behavior. And mine. Mine would be built on truth from here on out, even if that truth meant fewer seats at the table. Have you ever been made to feel like an outsider in your own family? Raymond's story isn't just about one awful Thanksgiving. It's about reclaiming your self-worth after betrayal. If you've ever had to choose dignity over comfort or set boundaries with the people closest to you, share your experience in the comments. Your story might just be the strength someone else needs to do the same. Let's talk.